Tamrielic Lore by Yaegrim Begarn. Every artifact he wrote about is right here in Vvardenfell. Isn't that convenient? We're going to gather them all up. To make things a bit more interesting, I've installed the mod More Deadly Morrowind Denizens. Enemies are stronger, have more spell variety, have been given new enchanted items to play with, and most importantly, actually put up a fight. Not only does this mod make the world more dangerous, but it also gives the holders of Tamriel's many powerful artifacts a bit more oomph. Why should the NPC holding a ring that boosts your agility by 30 points not be tough to kill? The wizard with the Staff of Magnus shouldn't be a pushover. We'll become Morrowind's very own incarnation of Indiana Jones, Artifact Hunter. Vvardenfell Fjord, a Nord who actually looks a bit like Harrison Ford himself. A commenter on one of the VODs said I should have named him Inderil Jones, and I'm mad because that's a much better name. To make things a bit more spicy, if the artifact ain't in Yaegrim's book, we can't use it. As such, we decided, collectively on stream, that using magic for combat would defeat the purpose of that stipulation. We're a melee guy. Magic exists solely for the utility, alteration, and mysticism. Because a lot of enemies have new spells, we also take the Atronach sign for its defensive properties. Ironically, the Atronach sign probably serves melee characters more than it does mages.
Sometimes I just feel like a character in a skit, waiting for something to happen to me. Sup, nerd? Got another sponsorship for you. What? Hardly Spurious Cyborg, what's going on? This is different behavior. We've worked with these guys before, into the AM. Last time we were showing off their graphic tees. And this time I happened to get their very Morrowind vibey one. I mean, look at that hand right there. I don't know why, but that hand feels very... There's something about it that feels very Elder Scrollsy. I don't know why. That's not what they want us to talk about today. No. What they've come out with now is a new line of stretch denim. In fact, I'm wearing them right here. Now, personally, I like sweatpants, but you have to wear jeans when you don't want to dress up too much, but you also want everybody to think you sort of have your life together. It's hard to wear sweatpants in public if you're not going to, like, the gym or something. But the problem with jeans is that they're hard to move around in. If you get ones that fit you correctly, they're a little too tight. And if you get ones that let you move around in, they're kind of baggy. But with stretch denim, you can move around quite freely and not have them be clearly oversized. I didn't know how I'd feel about these at first, but then I wore them around for a day, and I genuinely don't think I can wear a different type of jean from now on. I think these are going to be my primary jeans. They come in 4 different colors. You can get them in your typical denim blue. They also have gray, black, and a darker blue. If you'd like to get yourself some of this stretch denim, or some of their graphic tees, or any of the other clothing options available from Into the AM, by using my promo code or using the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can get 10% off your next order. And for the sake of transparency, if you use my link, I do get a slight commission. So if you want to support the channel and get pants, there's your option.
This is one artifact Yaegrim Begarn forgot to mention in his book. I actually read an early draft. I was one of his beta readers, and it was in there. I suspect his publishers pushed for him to remove it, probably for length. Documenting the sordid and dramatic history of the Colovian Fur Helm is... you could write volumes. The first documented artifact we're after is the Mentor's Ring in the Samaris Ancestral Tomb. Believed to have been created by the High Wizard Karni Azrin, it was used as a teaching aid for his apprentices. The ring is not held by an NPC, so it's not really a good demonstration of the mod, but I'm not a first impressions kind of guy. The urn containing this ring is protected by a trap, however, but traps are just magical spells, which our Atronach birth sign can easily consume. Without the sign, we'd have to go buy a telekinesis spell, or find a probe, or get health potions, and then return later because this trap almost always kills a fresh character. The ring grants 10 points to both intelligence and willpower. Great for mages, less great for non-mages, but it should afford us an extra cast of a teleport spell here and there. As soon as we arrive in Balmora, we really get into the roleplay of this character, and start behaving like an authentic, early 20th century archaeologist. We're taking everything that isn't nailed down. Galbadir is happy to buy just about everything, Nalkaria buys the rest, and with this gold we spell make a 100 point open spell. It costs 60 magicka to cast, and we only have a 14% chance to do that, 15ish with full fatigue, so it's not great, but there are a lot of artifacts stuck behind high level locks, as if people don't want us taking them. Had we not chosen Alteration as a major skill, we'd have to do a bunch of grinding before having even a slight chance at casting this spell. Or I'd just make up a reason why the skeleton key is okay to use. See, that's the glory about setting up your own rules. You can retroactively change them at the end of the run, so you don't break them during the run. Nah. That's the trick. Another admittedly underwhelming artifact, not the effect, but the obstacles preventing us from getting it, are the Fist of Randagulf. Randagulf was a Nord from the clan Begalin, known for his ferocity in battle. But when King Harold Handfree, a reference to Harold Bluetooth, you weirdos, conquered Skyrim, he slew Randagulf and took his gauntlets for himself. Out of respect, I guess. The reason why he's called Harold Handfree is because Harold Bluetooth was said to have unified the Danish people and basically standardized the language. How true is that? I don't know. But the Bluetooth technology got the name from him because the idea was that the Bluetooth technology made communication easier, just like how standardizing a language would make communication easier. That's why the Bluetooth logo is the fusion of the initials of Harold Bluetooth. The H rune and the B rune merged together. So how is Harold Handfree a reference to Harold Bluetooth? How do you speak on your phone hands-free? With the little thing in your ear, the Bluetooth device. There you go. I don't really know if those exist much anymore. I mean, you still use Bluetooth to connect wireless earbuds to your phone or something, but I don't know if we really consider that. It's kind of implied that it would be hands-free communication, so we just kind of don't mention it. Anyway, following Harold's death, the gloves disappeared. Whatever journey they went on led them here, to the caverns of Ilinibi, tucked away in a dark corner of a 6th house shrine. One glove grants 20 points of strength, and the other 20 points of agility. I suspect, had we come to these caves at a slightly higher level, the enemies within wouldn't have been weak, avoidable dreamers. The reason why we're going for the simpler artifacts first is because the enemies in this mod will get a bit crazy. Unless we want to grind to level 20 first, we're going to need a little extra help going after some of these, you could call them bosses, I think that's fair.
Oh, stop. Please. No, I just want the
next 2 artifacts waiting for us, 2.5 actually, are in Telfir, Devaithfir's tower west of Sadrith Mora, on the coast of the Zephyr Bell Bay. Another benefit of taking Alteration as a major, we can cast Water Walking somewhat reliably. You don't realize just how close Telfir is to Wolverine Hall when you always swim there. It's like a 90-second walk. The first artifact, and our first weapon, is in a 100-point locked chest right beside Devaithfir. He doesn't mind us stealing from him, so we don't have to be sneaky about it. The Telvanni are pretty cool that way. At least Devaithfir is. It takes a few reloads before we successfully cast our Akasha's Lock Splitter spell. We pop open the chest, resisting the trap, and find within Scourge, a unique one-handed mace. Its stats are slightly better than that of a Daedric mace, and it comes with an on-use enchantment that summons both a Scamp and a Jamora. These guys will be more crucial to this run than you might think. This ebony forged weapon, Yegrim writes, was once used against the Daedric lords in the Battlespire. Quick, Battlespire fans! All 4 of you, make yourself known. Great. Now, everybody else? There they are! Get 'em! The second artifact in Devaithfir's possession is behind yet another level 100 lock. But this one is in a cupboard, the Cuirass of the Savior's Hide. A light armor cuirass with a disproportionately high armor rating, and a 60% magic of resistance enchantment. It's the first Daedric artifact we'll be getting as well. Daedric artifact as in an artifact belonging to a Daedric prince, not an artifact in Yegrim Bagarn's book that also happens to be Daedric. What even makes something Daedric? To me, I believe that a Daedric item is actually... It's said Hircine pulled off his own hide and granted it to the first mortal who managed to escape his hunting grounds. This mortal tanned the prince's hide, and from it crafted this very cuirass. The mod Tamriel Rebuilt, which kind of feels like canon at this point because they just do such a good job making everything mesh together nicely. If you haven't explored the regions in Tamriel Rebuilt, I cannot recommend it enough. It is amazing. Same with Province Cyrodiil, Project Tamriel, Tamriel Rebuilt, all this stuff is so... It's just the people putting in the effort for these mods love this series so much. You may think, because of how passionately I talk about some subjects in this series, that I love this series, and I do. But I can't possibly love this series more than the people who make these gigantic, sprawling mods, these teams of people that have to coordinate to get all this stuff working correctly. It's amazing. And they all do this out of the goodness of their heart and the love for the game. I make these videos because it's fun, and also it makes me money. Yeah, what a piece of shit sellout I am. What was I talking about? Oh, right. In Tamriel Rebuilt, they made other pieces of armor that can kind of go as a set with this cuirass, and they all have magic resisting properties, as well as very high armor values. The half artifact, we'll come back to in a bit. Near Telfir are the Daedric ruins of Yansaramis, where we get our first taste of these more deadly Morrowind denizens. This orc has a different weapon than normal, an axe with paralysis, and the mage in the main chamber summons a Frost Atronach while casting on-target paralysis. Approaching combat will take a bit more tact. It's not super difficult, but you do gotta hesitate a bit.
I have no health potions.
These ruins house a shrine to Molag Bal, and by talking to the statue, he gives us our first Daedric quest. A simple quest. Go kill one of his insolent minions. Mentena is in Corridor near Coggarun in the Ashlands. That's a bit out of the way right now, but we've got the quest and the dungeon key, so when we're in the area, we'll pop in and give that Daedra the bonk on the noggin. Not far from Yen Saramis is where we'll find our first quote-unquote boss enemy, a little cavern called Namu. Namu is also the name of a Mesopotamian goddess. You'll notice a lot of dungeons and locations in Morrowind are named after Fertile Crescent deities and cities. We're here to claim the Ring of the Wind. According to Yegrim Bagarn's writings, there's nothing known about this ring apart from its name. He assumes, based on the name alone, that the ring must grant the wearer speed. Decent hypothesis.
Get him. Whoops. Oh, they can't hit me with magic while we're in the water because magic is stupid in this game. They're confused. They're trying, but they're confused. Get him, boys. Oh.
As you can see, enemies are quite potent. I'm a Nord with frost immunity, 50% shock resistance, and a 50% chance to absorb all incoming spells, and we're still getting nuked by this guy. His axe comes with an explosive fire enchantment, so even if our Dremora is tanking for us, getting in melee range to hit him still poses a huge risk. Rather than throwing ourselves at this guy over and over again to no avail, we'll drop a mark in this cave and get a different artifact that might tip this fight a bit more in our favor.
So there's been this trend of games, if you pre-order them, you can play them like 5 days early. And maybe there's some criticism of that can be levied. But the great thing about it is a bunch of people will play the game like 5 days before it comes out, and then we can all know if the game's good or not. So at least that pre-order bonus is more tangible than like, oh, you get a hat. The only benefit I see to pre-ordering a game is being able to download it before it releases. So that's why if you're going to pre-order a game, pre-order it like 12 hours before it releases. You don't affect their predictions. Like it's like, oh, we've already sold 1 million copies. No. Sold no copies until 12 hours beforehand. Don't give them the certainty of sales. Or wait until a week or a month or a year, or don't buy it. Don't buy games. Don't buy games. Live in a cave. Mail bombs to people. Don't actually do that.
West of Vivec is the Mudan Grotto, a sunken cavern, which implies it's not a grotto, with a drummer ruined deep within. We save scum the level 100 locked hatch, even though there is a key in the place on Pikachu's corpse. Not a joke, that's the actual name of the NPC. And we enter the central vault only to be attacked by a Steam Guardian. It has a lot of health, nearly killing us, but our tank finally taunts the thing off of us, and we land the killing blow. From the robot, we loot the Dwemer Guardian key and use it to open this locked cabinet. Another artifact, the Dragonbone Cuirass, a piece of heavy armor with a 100% fire resistance enchantment on it. A Nord wearing this cuirass is totally immune to fire and frost and takes only half damage from shock. Paired with the Atronach sign, and we barely have to worry about mages at all. Poison and raw magic are still dangerous, but those are few and far between. I hope. Yegrim writes that this cuirass, made from genuine dragonbone, was enchanted by Zuranarctus himself. The name should sound familiar to you. The quote that shows up during the beginning cutscene of Morrowind is attributed to him. His soul was also used to power the Numidium. He might be part of Talos too, the god, depending on if you believe Talos is a fusion of Zuranarctus, Hjalti Earlybeard, and Ysmir Wolfhearth. He could have also been a Shezarene, which is the incarnation of Lorcan, but they all could have been Shezarene. I like the idea that Lorcan's spirit still existed, incarnated as a mortal, and then became divine somehow, allowing his spirit to take a divine role in Mundus, even though he was dead. But he still needed his heart because his heart was missing, so he couldn't feel love, which is why he made a deal with the Zura to get the Nerevarine to show up and free his heart from Dagothur's grasp. That last part is barely speculation, it's just I kind of like the idea of Lorcan working with Azura. I just think they make a cute couple. Back in Namu, with so many resistances and our 100-point levitation buff from the shrine under Bardau, fighting this guy and his squad of Atronachs is much less of an issue.
Little shit.
The game doesn't have friendly fire disabled. your own summons can hurt you. So after all this chaos, once we get in close enough to actually fight the guy, he's nearly dead. As I learned from my Enchanted Items Only playthrough, Aryan's Helper, the glove that summons one of each Atronach, is a liability. Galmus Dren is his name. He may be related to Orvis, Vadum, and Ilmeni Dren. Since this is a smuggler's cave, I'm gonna guess he's working for Orvis Dren. He's probably a cousin that Orvis Dren's mom forced him to hire. He's got the Ring of the Wind. Yagrum speculated that it increases the wearer's speed, but it actually increases the wearer's agility by 30 points. Pretty good. I haven't felt too much pain coming from the lack of fatigue thus far, but I'm sure somebody's already complained. I've got two solutions for that. First, we return to Balmora and do some shopping at Naukari's place. She's got exclusive restore health, fatigue, and magica potions. Good to have in a pinch, but that's not all. The next artifact we'll be getting is a little something up in the northern reaches of Ardenfell, one of the more deadly and rare artifacts in Tamriel, according to our dwarven friend. The exact nature and origin of this artifact is unknown, unsurprisingly. Some claim it was created long ago by a cult of vampires. The Vampiric Ring, a piece of jewelry said to have the power to suck the life from its victims, transferring it to the wearer. Sounds perfect for a guy like Vardenfell Fjord. A pair of Skelly archers guards Aldredania, but they each die in a single hit. Inside, a pair of ghost guards the key to the upper floors of the tower. Like the Skellies, they die without issue. And without tissue. That was silly. Make myself laugh. The real threat is the Skeleton War Wizard, the wielder of the Vampiric Ring. The mod doesn't make the Skeleton War Wizard much more deadly, because the ring is already pretty damn deadly. The ring absorbs 20 to 30 points of health and fatigue per second for 10 seconds. One touch from that, and we're dead. Summoning the crew doesn't seem very helpful, since they don't do a lot of damage, and then the skeleton hits them with the ring, and heals all the damage that we've done back. But it does waste some of the charge on the ring, limiting the number of times the skeleton can use it. With a little maneuvering, we land the killing blow, and collect our prize. It doesn't come with a lot of charges, so this won't be a general purpose ring. It'll mostly be used when we need a lot of healing real quick. An oh shit button. There's also the Bitter Cup, an artifact sacred to the worshippers of Clavicus Vile. Drinking it takes 20 points from our lowest attribute and gives it to our highest. We'll take the cup for now, and drink from it later when we figure out exactly what attributes we want affected. On these isles in the Sheogorath region, a bit further east from Aldredania, is the Daedric ruin of Aser Dirapal, and inside is a derelict shrine to the Prince of Outcasts, Malakath. As is typical for all shrines to princes from the House of Troubles, a group of cultists stands between us and their lord's statue. Here's a better example of the mod. This lady summons 4 clan fear, casts a shield spell on herself, and heals when her health gets too low.
Healing. Coward. God damn it.
Getting that vampiric ring when we did wasn't a bad idea.
You have summoned me.
Malakath has a quest for us. In his possession is the Helm of Orain Bearclaw, a Dark Elf hero who actually took credit for the deeds of his orcish friend, Karag Grokar. In exchange for the helm, he would like us to kill the last of Bearclaw's bloodline, and wouldn't you know it, Yagrum Bagon wrote about this very helmet in his book. Wow, what a coincidence. Malakath says Orain Bearclaw is a Dark Elf, but the book says Orain Bearclaw is a legendary hero of Valenwood. That would imply he's a Wood Elf, right? No, he actually is a Dark Elf. The Orain bloodline consists of both Bosmer and Dunmer. Bearclaw himself was the heir to King Faum Todai, a leader of one of Valenwood's many clans. I like to think some of the Chimer who left Alinor with St. Veleth deviated on their journey and settled in Valenwood. When Azura cursed the Chimer with their grey complexion, those outside Morrowind were also affected, even those whose bloodline never even saw Morrowind. So those Dunmer are more Bosmer than they are Dunmer. I don't know if this is how it actually happened, if all Chimer were cursed, or if just the ones in Morrowind were cursed, and it doesn't really explain why the Chimericae aren't grey, but they're not official lore, so whatever. It's all fun speculation, and it ultimately doesn't affect any stories. I just think cultural migration is neat. Anyway, Bearclaw's descendant is outside Narmok, and we'll get there soon enough. Instead of bounding off and leaving northern Vardenfell, we head to the Ashlands to loot a powerful artifact that's in a nearby dungeon. Scourge is a one-handed weapon, and a shield would be nice to have alongside it. Iberdad. What kind of cave is it? Ah, crystals. Wizard cave. And here's our wizard. If memory serves me, and it probably doesn't. This NPC typically summons a scamp, not a greater bonewalker. Ooh, and there's a free-roaming Daedroth here too. Did the mod add that? That might have always been there.
Alright, she summons a million scamps. And a hunger.
Who needs damage when you can just flashbang the player? I dimmed that, by the way. Pro strat, run in, and hit her with a vampiric ring before she can react, and just outlast her.
How stupid.
And she's not even the owner of the item we're looking for. Oh no. For that, we gotta dive. From the drink, we rise and encounter more lone Daedra, a golden saint, and 2 Dremora. But the Dremora, as you'll soon see, have learned the ways of mitosis. I assume mitosis. Meiosis makes assumptions about Dremora I'm neither willing nor ready to make. Normally, when you kill the summoner, the summons disappear. The hard part, when the summoner looks like the summon, is figuring out which one is which.
Good job.
The artifact we're looking for is behind yet another lock, but this one is only level 70. Lots of fun loot here, but we're most interested in the shield up on the wall. Eliden's Ward. A shield that once belonged to a holy knight of legend in Breton history. For rescuing a baron's daughter from an evil warlord, the baron emptied his coffers to craft Eliden his reward. This glorious, enchanted shield that can mend his very wounds. It heals 100 to 200 points of health per second for 1 second. The rest of this Daedric stuff, we could sell it in Mournhold, I guess. I don't really need money for this run. Now, the wise thing to do next would be to head east from Iberdad, deal with Mentana and Curadur, and then go north to the Rotheron stronghold and grab another artifact before stopping at Daggerfall, outside of which is a Dwemer ruin containing yet another artifact. Instead, we're going to Narmok to kill an elf. Farvin Orain is on the outskirts of the little fishing hamlet, taking pride in his most recent exploits, slaying these 2 bull netches, which was totally him, and not his 2 compatriots. Attacking Orain spurs the other 2 NPCs to jump into combat, making this fight 3-on-1. Technically, we don't need to kill his allies. Orain is so weak we could probably kill him before they even get close enough to us. But it doesn't feel right to leave orphans. You would think the guy in Orcish armor would be the bigger threat, but it's actually the guy with the Dreg shield that's the problem. We use our vampiric ring on him, beat the tank, and then finish off weak little Farvin. With Malakat's quest done, we return to the Shergorod region via Narmok's boat service to Daggerfall. Asser Dirapal is pretty far west from here, but remember I did mention there's an artifact near Daggerfall. So before getting our reward from Ol Orki, that's the Nordic name for Malakat, that's not just me turning the word orc into an adjective, although that's probably exactly what it's supposed to be. The Nords are very direct in these sorts of things. Right, other artifact. We're headed to Sorkvild's Tower.
I just hope if it is the Alakir Desert, they don't try to justify why it's barren the same way they justified why everything is so barren in Starfield. It's like, yeah, sometimes it's boring, sometimes there's nothing on planets. Yeah, I don't care. It's a video game. There should be stuff. It's like, oh, it's a desert. There's nothing in deserts. Yeah, no, it's fantasy world. Put giant worms. Do sandworms. That's an original idea no one's ever thought of before.
It'll be your blood here, not mine.
Oh, is that going to be the dragons? We're going to fight giant worms? That would actually be kind of cool. And every time you kill a worm, you get a soul that you can use to learn sword singing.
You will die!
Is that right?
No one can challenge me.
Sorkvild himself is a necromancer. And what artifact do you think any self-respecting necromancer would have? That's right, the Mask of Clavicus Vile. More importantly than his odd choice of artifact, is that with this mod installed, Sorkvild is now a real necromancer.
You will die where you stand.
He takes the gang stomp approach. I respect it. Unfortunately for him, once his crew is dead, he's nothing more than a stinky corpse wizard with a dumb hat. The mod also gives him a new weapon, I think. Grave Knock. Frost damage, drain strength, drain agility. Not bad, but we don't care about it. We want the Mask of Clavicus Vile, one of the few Daedric artifacts in Morrowind you can get without actually working with the Daedric Prince. Yegrim writes about the best known story of the mask. A noblewoman by the name of Avalea, as a young girl, was disfigured by a spiteful servant. Avalea made a deal with Clavicus Vile and received the mask. It didn't change her appearance, but by wearing it, she gained respect and admiration. A year and a day after marrying a well-connected baron, Vile took the mask away, leading to the baron banishing his now pregnant wife. 21 years and a day later, Avalea's daughter claimed vengeance in the name of her mother by slaying that baron. Clavicus Vile, such a trickster. On our way back to Asurdirapal, we take a detour south of Daggerfall to Rotharan, an abandoned Dunmer stronghold that's since been occupied by a group of bandits running a slave fighting pit. So not abandoned, but officially abandoned. So they're squatters, but whatever. You know what I mean.
There is no escape.
Yeah. Get him, boys. Okay, he's using poison, so I'm not immune to that. Yeesh. How long is this poison? Oh, not very. Okay. Or it's not very strong, rather.
The Ice Blade of the Monarch, a two-handed long blade with a 10 to 40 point frost damage enchantment on it. I imagine this fight would have been a lot tougher were we not a Nord wearing the Dragonbone Cuirass. It did look like there was a fire component to the magic he was flinging. Yegrim writes that this sword is the result of the evil archmage Almion Selmo, enchanting a claymore with the soul of a frost monarch, a stronger form of the common frost Atronach. Thurgnar Assi, the warrior for whom this sword was made, was to assassinate a king in a far-off land and usurp his throne. The assassination attempt failed, and the archmage was imprisoned. And now, we finally return to Asurdirapal. Oh, and we ascend to level 4 as well. I hadn't mentioned it, but I bought some enchanting training from Majora the last time we were in Balmora. Not because I wanted more intelligence, but those few enchanting levels made the Vampiric Ring castable twice from a full charge. It has 300 points of charge, and using it was costing 156 points, so the remaining 144 points couldn't be used unless I rested for a bit and let the ring recharge naturally. Maybe I should have just mentioned it when it happened. I didn't think it would require much explanation. Can you imagine? Me? Over-explaining things? What a crazy thought. Malakath rewards us with the Helm of Orion Bearclaw, a heavy armor helmet that fortifies agility and endurance by 40 points each. An amazing item. Not far from here is Corridor, domain of the delinquent Daedroth, Mentana. Don't be frightened by the level 95 lock. Molag Bal gave us the key. Mentana awaits at the end of these caverns, behind a handful of Daedroth bodyguards. He seems to have taken up as king of this realm. Everything the light touches, etc. But the mod didn't seem to do much for him. It seems the bosses of some quests weren't affected the same way artifact wielders were affected. On our way back to Molag Bal's shrine in Yansaramas, we return to Tel Fir and loot the half artifact we talked about earlier. I don't know why I put it off until now. In one of Devate's locked chests is the Daedric Sanctuary Amulet, an uninteresting item that only stands out because it has a unique inventory sprite, as far as I'm aware at least. When we're ready, we can use this amulet to teleport to Magus Volar, where we'll find another artifact listed in Yegrim's book. But the ensuing fight might be a bit much right now, so we'll hold off. For helping Molag Bal, we're given his very own mace, also known as the Vampire's Mace, according to Yegrim Begarn. It drains its victim's magicka and strength, transferring it to the wielder. Surprisingly, that's exactly what it does. The last living dwarf didn't get the enchantment on this item wrong. The mace absorbs 1 to 15 points of strength and 1 to 20 points of magicka for 30 seconds each. Excellent for a mage. Or for someone born under the sign of the Atronach who just needs a little bit of magicka. These artifacts are starting to weigh us down. Since they aren't all useful to this build, like the Mask of Clavicus Vile, we return to Balmora, break into the Hollow Manor, and leave the Ice Blade, the Mask of Clavicus Vile, and the Cuirass of the Savior's Hide with Rollin Lalo's lifeless body. He's an honest fella, he's not going to run off with our stuff. And even if he wanted to, he ain't getting far. We've been using Scourge for this entire run so far, but I think it's time we got a new main weapon. I know we just got the Mace of Molag Bal, but that's more of a situational utility rather than a primary weapon. East of Sadrith Mora is the Daedric ruin of Adnu Nabia, but the entrance is blocked off. Instead, we enter the nearby Omaran ancestral tomb and push through the Daedric squatters until we arrive at this broken down wall. Continuing down the tunnel leads us to a subterranean Daedric ruin, which is, conveniently, the very same ruin we couldn't access from the surface. we enter the Forgotten Vaults of Adunabia, which contain the Forge of Hilbengard. Immediately to our left is a Scroll of Windwalker. It always spawns here, and is great for when you have to travel a long distance away from a taxi service. A Frost Atronach guards a level 85 locked and trapped door. The trap is a weak poison, but it lasts a long time, so we'll just tough it out. There are a lot of goodies in this room, like armor skill books, a Daedric helmet, and a pair of Dwemer boots with an on-use levitation enchantment. But none of those are artifacts, so we don't care. What we want is inside the chest floating in the middle of the chamber. Skull Crusher, Yegrim writes, is a warhammer crafted in a fire magically fueled by the wizard Dorach Gusal, forged by the great weaponsmith Hilbengard Rolamus. Although massive, the steel of this warhammer was magically hardened and enchanted to be amazingly light, making it even more powerful. To represent the lore, Skull Crusher has a weight of 15 and also a 15-point feather effect, so when it's wielded, it contributes no bramble plinths to our carry capacity. It also comes with 5 points of attack, which is a nice accuracy boost. Oh, and it also does between 10 and 60 points of damage per swing, so it can deliver some meaty bonks. It's very goofy looking. Another artifact hiding out here in the Zephyr Bell Bay is within the Cavern of Abanabi. We got some trivial Daedra, a squishy mage, and up these precarious rocky bridges are purple crystals. A powerful mage awaits us. I love that these mages actually use a variety of spells now. Bound armor, multiple summons, hard to dodge touch spells. It's great. But Skull Crusher lives up to its name. Dramaru was in possession of Chrysamere, another two-handed longblade, but the enchantment on this one is Cast on Use. Restore 5 to 20 points of health, reflect 5 to 20 points for 30 seconds, and resist fire 5 to 20 points for 30 seconds. Not terribly exciting, to be honest. Yegrim doesn't have much to say about the history of this sword, simply that it's a paladin's blade, and it doesn't tend to favor one champion for very long, which is why it seems to always be in a new person's possession. That's basically the story with all of these artifacts. They're always moving about. In the Grazelands west of the Zephyr Bell Bay is the Venom Ancestral Tomb. I'm using that Scroll of Windwalker we picked up, by the way. Perhaps the name of this tomb sounds familiar to you. And yes, it is the very same ancestral tomb belonging to the family of the Redoran Counselor you have to negotiate with during the main quest. The place is locked with a level 100 lock because it's been taken over by Gorys, the Maggot King. But just who is Gorys, the Maggot King? Why does he reside in this tomb? What is he planning? And how severe of a threat is he to Morrowind? I don't know. My guess, he wanted to be the next King of Worms, but didn't want to copy the name outright. Not as good. It's not as good. On a table in this tomb is the artifact we'll be taking, the Bow of Shadows. It's a bit weaker than a Daedric bow, but provides invisibility for 30 seconds and 20 to 30 points of speed for 30 seconds. According to our book, the bow is said to have been forged by Nocturnal herself, and is said to have been in possession of the Second Era Dunmer assassin, Dram. He appears in Redguard, actually, and he does have this bow. How it came to be here in a tomb in Morrowind is its own mystery. Could Dram have been a member of the Venom family? We're going to deviate a bit. One of the artifacts written down in Baggy's book is the Ebony Mail. It's a Daedric artifact, technically. You get it from Boethiah's quest in Daggerfall and in Skyrim. But in Morrowind, Boethiah gives you something different. So if it's in the book, and it's a Daedric artifact, but we don't get it from Boethiah himself, Boethiah takes on the form of a male in Morrowind, then how do we get it? It's actually in the possession of the Tribunal Temple. Kinda. They don't have it, but you get it in the process of becoming the new Archcanon. This means we'll finally be doing the Temple questline in a video. Joining the Temple is simple. By talking to any Temple Master, in this case Tools Valen in Aldrun, we're told to prove our faith by making the Pilgrimage of the Seven Graces. Across Vardenfell are 7 different shrines, each requiring a different kind of offering to receive its blessing. It's all outlined in the book, The Pilgrim's Path. After we visit each shrine, we'll be made an official member of the temple. The required offerings are available from most vendors, so the real test is actually getting to the shrines, some of which are in more harrowing areas than others. Ranking up in the temple will also, eventually, require at least 34 personality. That's only 4 levels more than we've got right now, so we could just buy some illusion training between levels to net a few more attributes. The Shrine of Pride past the Ghost Gate requires a soul gem offering, a soul gem of any size. Its blessing fortifies our magicka by 50 points and grants 25 points of shield for 48 minutes each. Unless your Atronach sign eats the blessing, but we don't actually need the blessing to move on with the quest. We just need to offer something to the shrine. The shrine to Stop the Moon, just beneath Bardau in Vivec's Temple Canton, requires a Rising Force potion of any quality and bestows 100 points of levitate for 48 minutes. It'll make getting around to the other shrines a bit easier. The Grace of Courtesy pilgrimage takes us to the Palace Canton's Puzzle Canals. Level 3 is where we want to go. On this level, there is a central grate leading to a triolith telling us to breathe the waters of his glory, and the way is made clear. We gotta drown ourselves. Once we die, the power of the shrine resurrects us and reveals the path forward. But Dremora, Krazd, awaits us at the end of the path and demands a silver longsword so that we may receive the shrine's blessing. Clearly, by how enthusiastic he is, he's been doing this job for a long time and cannot get enough of it. The Shrine of the Puzzle Canal grants us water breathing and 25 points of Swift Swim for 48 minutes. The Pilgrimage of Humility takes us north of Lake Amaya to the fields of Kumu. Offering a serving of muck to the triolith here grants 50 points of feather for 48 minutes. You may have noticed a pattern. All the shrines give 48-minute blessings because one in-game day takes 48 real-life minutes to pass. Isn't that a fun fact? The Shrine of Generosity, right outside Vivec's palace, requires a donation of 100 gold to receive its blessing. Morrowind is truly an alien world. This blessing fortifies our mercantile and luck by 10 points for 48 minutes. The Shrine of Stanley Ipkiss in Nissus requires a potion of cure disease as an offering. By touching the correct part of this shrine, a panel drops down revealing the genuine Vivec Ash Mask. Activating the mask teaches us a new spell, Vivec's Touch. The spell cures both common and blight diseases on touch at a cheaper cost than a spell-made version. At the entrance of Coal Cave, outside of Nissus, is the Shrine of Valor. We offer it a helping of Dregwax and are blessed with a 10-point fortification to each of our armor skills, or we would be blessed if our birth sign didn't eat it. The pilgrimage of the 7 shrines is complete. Tools Valen says we're now ready for more challenging duties, the first of which is to show compassion to a Sheogorath worshipper in Beo Kashishi. Bulfim Grashugars is afflicted with the Blight, and Tools would have us bring her a Cure Blight Disease potion. Her fellow worshippers are a bit aggressive, but I was told to show Bulfim compassion, not these jokers, so they get the mallet. We give the potion to Bulfim D's nuts, even though we could have just used the Vivec's Touch spell. All we lose out on is extra praise from Tools. He still gives us our reward, a restoration skillbook. Next, Tools asks us to deal with a man in Saran named Elvil Vidrin. He claims to be Naravar Reborn, a false incarnate. And I'm now just noticing that elves refer to other elves as men. A man in Saran. Interesting. We can either kill him, or throw money at him until he's dispossessed of this heretical delusion. I'll tell the Inquisitors to swing by and get him later. Tools would now like us to make a pilgrimage to the Temple of Margan, read the inscription on the shrine, and imitate Vivec's actions. When Dagon was threatening the Dunmer with a giant rock, Vivec taunted the Daedric prince, causing him to throw the giant rock at him instead of the people. So, we gotta taunt Anhydra over here until he attacks us. And we kill him. Pilgrimage complete. His dialogue is a bit, ignored. Tools won't have any more tasks for us until we get to a higher rank in the temple. Even advancing through the ranks of Novice, Initiate, Acolyte, and Adept isn't enough. We gotta visit some other temples. Endrin Lethen in Vivec says a woman here in the city is spreading the divine disease to others. We must convince Tenusea Velith to leave the city. It's a bit strange that a temple master refers to Corpus as a divine disease. Is that an oversight? Or does official temple doctrine recognize Dagothur as a god? Is his disease truly a divine blessing? To get Tenusea to leave, we either have to bring her a copy of Saryani's sermons to convince her that she is diseased, or we could solve this problem the way you solve most problems. Throw money at it. With a high enough disposition, she agrees to leave for the Corpusarium. Endrin's next duty for us is another pilgrimage. We must take a vow of silence and travel to the Sanctus Shrine in the Sheogorad region. A vow of silence means we can't talk to any NPCs. No Silt Striders, no boats, no guild guides. We're hoofing it. The efficient method would be to go there before taking the vow, placing a mark at the shrine, picking up the quest in Vivec, and then recalling to your mark, making the vow of silence trivial. But that's not really in the spirit of things. I did leave a mark at the Ghost Gate though, so... From here, we Civi to Aldrun, use a Scroll of Icarian Flight to hop north a bit, and then use another one of our Windwalker scrolls to travel the rest of the way.
Oh. Whoa.
I think I found this one in an urn in the cave where we got Chrysamir. Wizard dungeons typically have powerful scrolls in them. Praying at the shrine lifts our vow of silence, freeing us to use taxi services to get back to Endrin in Vivec. The reward for this pilgrimage, besides the knowledge of a job well done, is 4 skill books: Illusion, Blunt Weapons, Speedcraft, and Restoration. But we already read the 4 Suitors of Benita earlier in this run, so we didn't get that restoration level. Unfortunately, Endrin won't have any more duties for us until we reach the rank of Curate.
Speak with me when you're a curate. Really? I'm now a curate. Speak with me. Never mind.
With years of curate training completed, Endrin would now like us to acquire the soul of Saint Realms. 2 souls, actually, and the rest of the shoes as well. A priest had a vision of the shoes. Weird vision. And it's believed they've been gathering dust in Ald Sotha, the Daedric ruins in northeast of Vivec. Sotha was the birthplace of TESIII, you know. It's seen better days. I assume. You also get sent here as a member of the Morag Tong. Grandmaster Eno Hlalu would like you to dismantle the Dark Brotherhood presence here in Morrowind. Normally, they don't look like Dark Brotherhood assassins, but I guess the mod wanted them to have better armor, and the Dark Brotherhood armor is pretty good. That is a brutal shortblade. Damage health 50 to 75 points for 1 second on touch. Cast when strikes. Lucky for us, our Atronax sign procced when we blocked, and we ate the spell. The shoes are in the shrine room, which is full of Daedra, and a wizard with several pieces of sanguine jewelry on her. Those items, the sanguine items, are also part of a Morag Tong thing. It's not important today. Behind the statue to Dagon are several locked chests, but one of them blends into its surroundings a bit more than the others. We crack it open and find the shoes, and $500. Endrin takes the shoes, and that's it. No reward. See, that's the drawback of working for the temple. They presume everything you do is charitable, and we can't even write it off on our taxes because you don't pay taxes in Morrowind. Oh my god, they should make a fantasy world where you get hunted by tax collectors. Oh, and the less you pay them, the higher your bounty just goes up if you don't pay your taxes. They just add an element of, yeah, you're a good guy. Oh, and if you're a thief and you steal stuff, but you don't pay taxes on the stuff you steal, you can get a bounty anyway. Just like Al Capone. They got him on tax fraud instead of all the other crimes he committed.
You talk too much, Outlander.
The next endeavor he sets us upon is inquisitorial. A cult has appeared in the St. Delen Canton in a place that the cultists refer to as Ihini Palit. Endrin wants us to bring temple justice to their heretical little meetings. This is a shrine to Sheogorath, and the cultists, appropriately, summon Hungers, one of the lesser Daedra associated with the Mad God. The mod could have added a couple golden saints to make the fight even spicier, but I guess if you get hit by a Hunger's paralysis in a room with several enemies, it's still pretty dangerous. Once everyone is dead and we've expunged the blasphemers from the canton, we speak with the statue of Sheogorath because he's got a quest for us. Ignore the irony. The artifact he'll give us is written in Yaegrim Begarn's book, so we're gonna have to get it eventually. We might as well get the ball rolling and pick up the quest while we're here.
Fetch the Fork of Horripilation from the Mad Hermit near Aldredania. Take care with him. He's not the most stable man. Use the fork wisely, mortal. Few have wielded it who have not come away changed. Use the fork to strike a death blow to the giant bull Netch that resides near the hermit. Do this. Return the Fork of Horripilation to me, and Sheogorath will reward you well.
Don't tell Endrin about this. With nothing left for us, Endrin points us to the other temple masters for more duties. Having reached the rank of curate, Uvu Laren at the Ghost Gate has works for us to do. The first being a simple curative mission. Asantis Hansar is one of the Ashlander outcasts outside the Ghost Gate, and he's come down with a case of droops. Nothing Vivec's touch can't solve.
Thank you.
Behold the power of the temple. The hermit Sendis Sathis needs food and drink. He's on an island between Vardenfell and the Sheogorath region. Delivery for Sendis Sathis. What, no tip? The most interesting set of duties for the temple, I would argue, is the collection of religious relics. The first Uvu demands is the hair shirt of Saint Arelor. It's on a corpse in the courtyard of Coggeron. I had actually picked that up when we went to kill Mentana from Molag Bal. I didn't mention it at the time because I forgot I did that. Of all the relics, it's the least interesting to get. You just loot it from a dead ordinator. What we don't already have is the cleaver of Saint Felms, the next relic Uvu would have us recover. Mendeleeves carried the cleaver. He was a brave and honorable buoyant armiger, but fell while fighting through the vampire citadel Terranulal. The mod page talks about other mods that inspired this one, and it makes me wonder if some enemies were left untouched because the inspirations already did the work. I bring this up because the noodle snoots and the squid faces seem totally unchanged. Maybe pairing this with Beware the Sixth House, a mod I've already done a video on, would have been a good idea. I'm always nervous about using potentially conflicting mods in videos. I don't want the mods to look worse just because I installed something wrong. Here's Mendeleev's body. With him dead, now who will create the periodic table? There's another relic behind the ghost fence that the temple is going to ask for, so since we're here, we should go ahead and grab it. The crozier of St. Lothus is in Dagoth the dungeon. You don't have to go very far into the dungeon to find it. The body of Varuz Bethramo, wielder of the crozier, is in one of the inner towers of the citadel, likely slain by this very squid face. Here's the cleaver Uvu, and next she asks us to get the crozier. Uvu, you ain't gonna believe it. Considering the crozier casts damage health, blind, and disintegrate armor on self, it's no surprise Varuz died while covering the retreat of those under his command. Save the self-flagellation for the priests who aren't on the battlefield, alright? Uvu's got nothing left for us, and she can't even advance us to the next rank because our levels are too low. For those unaware, factions in Morrowind have skill and attribute requirements. To become a disciple, the rank after curate, we need one of the temple's favorite skills at level 60 and 2 at level 20, along with 32 intelligence and personality. Since we're doing all this in order to become the leader of the faction, we'll eventually need 1 skill at 80, 2 at 30, and 34 intelligence and personality. To speed things up, we go to Ernst Lervu in the St. Delen Canton's temple and buy a bunch of blunt weapon training. She's the master trainer, so we don't have to worry about out-leveling her. It ain't cheap, but what else are we going to use this gold for? For the lesser skills, we buy mysticism training from Moraine Dren in Balmora's Mages Guild, up to level 30, and we do the same for alchemy with Sweet Little Ajira, everyone's favorite kitty. Or second favorite. Third? Fourth? Honestly, I think I'd rather somebody hate my guts than tell me I'm their 4th favorite person. We return to a temple master and rank up to disciple, but even though we've got the levels for the next rank, we still gotta do a few more duties. Remember Tools Valen? His final duty required that we be a higher rank, and now that we're a disciple, he believes we're ready to take on this next quest. A dark cult is practicing the foulest arts in the Cavern of Hassauer. In the cavern are the mutated members of the 6th house, all being led by the monstrous Dagoth Fovon. He's our target. Hassauer is southeast of Balmora, near the end of Foyadamamea, the fire lake running under Arkingthan Bridge. In this dungeon, we have ash slaves, bone walkers, dreamers, and a single noodle snoot, Dagoth Fovon himself. The real reward is this fat loot. With this duty finished, we achieve the rank of Diviner, and may now speak with Archcanon Tholar Saryani for our final pilgrimages. There's the Temple Master and Molag Mar we never interacted with, but we'll get enough faction reputation from Saryani to reach the Master rank anyway, so that guy doesn't matter. Tholar Saryani, Dunmer Pope, would like to retire, hang up his Pope shoes. As one of the temple's most promising diviners, if we would like to replace him as Archcanon, we must complete the pilgrimages of the 4 corners. These pilgrimages consist of visiting a shrine to each of the princes from the House of Troubles. Once there, we must sacrifice a Daedra heart while reciting Vivec's 4 corners prayer. The first shrine is Malakat's, but not the one we got a quest from. It is in the Shergorad region, however, due west of Dagonfell. There's a few orcs guarding the shrine, but now they're all dead. If you're wondering where I got the Daedra heart, there are quite a few alchemy vendors that have a restocking supply of them. Anna Seleth in Sadrith Mora is a good option. I should have thought ahead and looted them from all the Daedra we fought up until this point, but oh well. Next is Mehrunes Dagon. His shrine is in Altsotha. We've been there quite recently actually, so there shouldn't be any enemies getting in our way. Okay, some of the Daedra respawned. That's Dagon sorted. Molag Bal's shrine is in the ruins of Bal-Ur, the alleged birthplace of Molag Bal, where the Doom Drum, Lorcan, tricked Molag Bal into becoming mortal. Teasing lore from mythology is a difficult job. We got Daedra, cultists, typical stuff. And here's the shrine. This is where you'd get the quest to cure your vampirism actually. But we're not a vampire. For the final corner of the House of Troubles, we must go to Al Daedroth and find the Gamble Putty. Al Daedroth is the Daedric ruin you have to bring the Ahamusa Wise Woman to during the main quest. It's southeast of Dagonfell. The Gamble Putty, however, 'twas Brillig in the Slithy Toes, did Gyre and Gimble in the Wib. All Mimsy were the Borogoves, and the Mome Wraiths outgrape. It's a glove under this pillow. We bring it to the central shrine and offer it up to Shegorath, finishing the last of the pilgrimages of the 4 corners. Oh, Frabjous Day, Kalu Kalay.
Go away. Go away, text box. Go away. Get out of here. Yeah, it's stuck. Get off. Go. There we go.
With the last duty complete, Tholar Saryani advances us to the rank of Master. At this rank, he has but one more thing to ask of us. We must retrieve the Ebony Mail. Remember the whole artifacts thing? That's what we were doing, yeah? You gotta be a master in the temple before Saryani will give you this quest. And without this quest, we can't get the Ebony Mail. It requires praying at the shrine atop Mount Asarnibibi. There may have been a way to circumvent the temple quests by doing the pilgrimages of the 4 corners in order, and then going to Mount Asarnibibi. You can get the Ebony Mail without even being a member of the temple, or so I've heard. Maybe that's a glitch that was fixed with one of the patches, maybe that was in the original game, I don't know. But I didn't really want to try it in case it didn't work. That'd just be a waste of time. Also, it feels like cheating, you know? It's foggy and ominous, how apropos. This is where Molag Bal oversaw the 99 lovers of Boethia that gave birth to Amalexia, mother of Morrowind. That might be propaganda. Whatever. We now have the Ebony Mail, Boethia's artifact in Daggerfall and Skyrim. See what I mean about it being a possession of the temple? Kinda. It's a great piece of gear, and it should be considering how much work it takes to get it. Resist fire 75%, shield 50 points, and resist magicka 20%. It's medium armor, which doesn't line up with our skills too well, but those 50 points of shield more than make up for it. By switching out the Dragonbone cures for the Ebony Mail, we do lose our fire immunity, but we're still pretty resistant to it, and the magic of resistance and the armor, I feel, will serve us a bit better. Besides, it's not like I can't switch if I need to. Bringing the mail back to Tholar Saryani may seem like a bad idea, but he doesn't actually take it from us. He tells us to keep it and to do good deeds while wearing it, as we are the new Temple Patriarch. leader of the temple. And as is typical for any Elder Scrolls protagonist who becomes the head of a faction, it's time to leave and never return. We got what we came for. Back on the artifact grind. Amongst the Ascadian Isles in southern Vardenfell, east of Vivec, is the Cavern of Ashirbadon. It's a wizard's hideout with several Daedra guarding the tunnels down. We're here for the Warlock's Ring, which once belonged to the Archmage Cirabane. It is said that Cirabane saved the entire continent with this ring. It must be really powerful and useful, huh? The holder of this artifact, like most mages in this mod, summons several different Daedra, conjures up a set of armor for themselves, and uses big spells that would be way more threatening had we not prepared with all these resistances.
I can't take any more.
Go away.
The ring that saved the world. Reflect 10 to 20% for 30 seconds, and 10 to 20 points of speed for 30 seconds. Okay. Another wizard cavern awaits us in the Molag Amur region, not far from where we got the Ebony Mail. The cavern called Asu is where we find the Staff of Magnus, one of Tamriel's elder artifacts. According to Yaegrim Begarn, it was a metaphysical battery of sorts for its creator, Magnus. No mage can possess this staff for too long, because once it senses the wielder has grown sufficiently in power, it abandons the mage lest they become too powerful, upsetting the mystical balance the staff is sworn to protect. We've got Daedroth guarding the entrance, and a high elf mage named Fistel, in Asu. Don't know why I mentioned it, there's nothing special about those two names at all. The current wielder of the Staff of Magnus summons a few Daedra to protect her, along with the typical bound armor. She even seems to use the staff partway through the fight, just before she dies. The staff provides 25 to 50 points of spell absorption and 1 point of healing per second, both for 60 seconds. It's not a bad staff, but we won't actually be using it. In the Gimothran Ancestral Tomb, a tomb on the border of the Grayslands and the Molag Amur region, we'll find yet another staff, the Staff of Hasidoki, but it's not in the possession of a mage this time. It's in the possession of a necromancer. Which, I mean, is a type of mage, but whatever. He's a smart necromancer, though. He's got more than just skeletons on the payroll. The Greater Bonewalkers, that's where the real damage lies. Damage strength is no fun. The Staff of Hasidoki is way too underwhelming for a necromancer this tough. 30 to 40% magic of resistance for 30 seconds on self. That's it. I guess if you want to wear the Boots of Blinding Speed but don't want to use restoration spells, this might be an option for handling the blind effect, but if that's your goal, just be a Breton and get the Cuirass of the Savior's Hide. Or be an Orc with the Cuirass, and there's another artifact that we haven't gotten yet, but it would allow an Orc to get 100% magic resistance. We're closing in on the final few artifacts, but we've still got a ways to go. Since a lot of these artifacts won't actually be helping us, we'll drop them off at Raylan Hlalo's corpse and finally take a sip from the bitter cup. Remember, we never actually drank from it. We just looted it and said we'll figure it out later. We've been carrying it this whole time. Now that we're done with the temple questline, we don't actually care about our personality level. By drinking from the cup, we reduce our personality by 20 points and boost our strength by 20 points, permanently. People won't like us, but who needs friends when you're swole? This next artifact is one we should have gotten a while ago. It's in the cavernous underbelly of Barandus, the Dunmer stronghold south of Nissus. These abandoned halls have been overtaken by Atronax, Dremora, and Clanfear, but at the end of these tunnels, in a lava-filled cave system, is a pair of winged twilights. Once they're dead, we check on what they've been so interested in. A corpse, the body of a dead hero, and on his feet are the boots of the apostle. They grant the wearer the power of flight. Does that do anything for you? 30 to 40 points of levitate for 30 seconds. Yaegrim doesn't have much to say about these boots. Just, they can make you levitate. He says they are a true mystery. They do make an appearance during the Imperial Cult questline. The quest giver that asks you to find them, the Latia Varian, says that when Tiber Septim descended from the mountains, he came riding the clouds, claiming that these boots were a gift from the Greybeards themselves. Is it actually true? Who can say? Mythology, legend, propaganda? Between Nissus and Barandus is the Falas Ancestral Tomb. There aren't many enemies in this tomb, but the urn at the end comes with a trap that we resist. Paralysis without enemies around is pretty pointless anyway. In this urn is Den Stagmer's ring. It provides 30 points of fire, frost, and shock resistance. Constant effects, by the way. Nothing is known about this ring, or even about the name Den Stagmer, or nothing is known to Yegrim, at the very least. But the urn, labeled D. Bryant, is named for a regular on the Elder Scrolls Forum who passed away during the production of Morrowind. The same is also true for the urn holding the Mentor's Ring, Lord Bryn. I suspect the D in D. Bryant stands for Den Stagmer. A short jaunt to the east is Mamea, a 6th house cavern seemingly made out of sand, but it's actually a bunch of bone. There's an ash vampire deep in these tunnels, perhaps explaining why this place is so exceptional among the other dungeons in Morrowind. Perhaps this is where the 6th house collects materials to build a Kulakan. Perhaps the ash vampire here is overseeing the process. He's actually the only ash vampire outside the ghost fence. Does this imply the bone material can only be collected or grown some distance from Red Mountain? I think this question is based on an assumption that has literally no evidence to support it. We are here for the Fang of Hanek Tnamet. Yegrim writes about creatures in Black Marsh that the Argonians called Wamasus. Nords, or Northern Men, as Yegrim refers to them, considered the Wamasus to be intelligent dragons with lightning for blood. One of these creatures was called Hanek Tnamet. After a week of fighting and scores of men dying, the beast was finally slain. One survivor harvested a fang from the body and took it home as a trophy. It was eventually fashioned into a small dagger which mysteriously housed some of the beast's magical powers. The boss guarding the fang is an old lady with a stick. The fang does 20 to 40 points of shock damage per second for 1 second on strike. A strong enchantment for a short blade, although it runs out of charge after 10 swings, before factoring in your enchanting level, that is. We can find another ring west of Daggerfall in the Senum Ancestral Tomb. It's full of skeletons. Aren't you just beside yourself with surprise? On the corpse of Popjay, an Easter egg tribute to developer Gary Noonan's father, who died during the production of Morrowind, is the Ring of Finister. The ring provides 20 points of resistance to poison, shock, and magicka. This is the ring I was talking about earlier that would let an orc get 100% magicka resistance. Finister crafted this ring to keep him safe on his many adventures. With it, Finister managed to live for hundreds of years. After his death, the ring passed from person to person, but he had cursed it to eventually disappear from its holder's possession, discontent to stay anywhere but with Finister himself. Since we're up here in the Sheogorath region, let's sort out Sheogorath's quest. Remember, we talked to him after we executed a bunch of cultists trying to talk to him. He had told us to meet with Bighead, an Argonian blessed by Sheogorath, and from him we are to receive the Fork of Horripilation. Horripilation, if you didn't know, is the erection of hairs on the skin due to cold, fear, or excitement. Goosebumps, basically. We must take the fork east of Bighead's shack and slay the great bone netch floating around out there. We don't have to fight the netch with the fork, we just have to land the killing blow with the fork.
This is going to take a minute. Really? Oh, there we go.
Netch dead. The next time we're in Vivec, we'll bring this to Sheo's shrine and earn our reward. There's another corner of the House of Troubles we haven't met yet. Mehrunes Dagon. Ysamadan is a Daedric ruin along the northwestern coast of Vardenfell. Perhaps as northwest as you could get without going to Solstheim, and it's full of Daedra and cultists. Dremora summoning their hounds and whatnot.
Why do you call on me, little mortal? Do you seek your death so soon? I should crush you where you stand. Yet you show mettle by even approaching me. How ambitious are you, little one? Would you like a chance to prove your worth to me?
He sounds oddly familiar.
You are brave, or foolish. Perhaps both. This, then, is your chance to prove your courage. My razor, slayer of man and myrrh, scourge of all who stand before it, lies dormant, stolen by an unworthy bearer, an elf of little courage or consequence. It lies unused, gathering dust in the Alas tomb near Molag Mar. Return it to me, mortal. Prove yourself to be a worthy bearer of Mehrunes' razor.
Back to the Molag region we go. The Alas Ancestral Tomb is loaded with Daedra, including a guaranteed Ogrim spawn. Have you seen the Shrek 5 trailer yet? I didn't think the changes they made to him were that bad, but I'm probably not going to see the movie anyway, so my opinion doesn't really matter. It's not that I dislike Shrek, I don't really like movies. We find a rusty dagger on Varnar Hlaris' corpse, the dormant razor Dagon asked us to retrieve. We did place a mark back at Ysamadan, and we could just teleport back right now, but there's another artifact in another ancestral tomb not far from here. West of the Arabanimsum Ashlander camp, inside the Marin ancestral tomb, is the wielder of the Bloodworm Helm, Crazy Batau. It is said that this helmet is a relic of the King of Worms himself. a helmet constructed from magically formed bone, granting the wearer the power to summon skeletons and control the undead. This helmet also shows up in Oblivion. I won't spoil why it shows up, but if you're curious, you could watch this video in the cards. It sounds more destructive than it actually is. It summons a single skeletal minion for 30 seconds, and turns undead 20 to 30 points for 30 seconds within a 20-foot radius of the target. If you're a necromancer, you'll probably end up hitting your own guys with the turn effect. What's the point? Now we return to Dagon and receive his razor. It is said the razor is capable of slaying any creature instantly, and this is indeed true in Daggerfall, Oblivion, and Skyrim. In Morrowind, it just disintegrates armor and does poison damage. It is recorded as playing a role in the various power struggles within the Dark Brotherhood, however. It makes me wonder even more if Morrowind's Dark Brotherhood became the Mythic Dawn, or were perhaps a front for the Mythic Dawn in Morrowind. You saw how the temple went after Sheogorath worshippers. Can you imagine if they found out about a bunch of Mehrunes Dagon worshippers as well? That's speculation for a different day. Continuing with the Daedra, we return to Vivec and check on a similarly voiced prince.
I see you have completed my little errand. Well done. Perhaps you've gotten a taste of madness as well? Do not believe madness to be a curse, mortal. For some, it is the greatest of blessings. A bitter mercy, perhaps, but mercy nonetheless. Give me the Fork of Horripilation. I believe I have something more suitable for your needs. Go now. Remember what you have seen.
Sheogorath takes the Fork of Horripilation and awards us the Spear of Bitter Mercy. Little is known about the spear, but Yegrim writes a legend about its use by a mighty hero during the fall of the Battlespire. The spear aided the hero in the defeat of Mehrunes Dagon and the recapturing of the Battlespire. He also writes that the spear may be Daedric in origin. Not sure how true that is. It's not a bad spear, especially considering how simple it is to get. On use, it provides 20 to 30 points of Reflect and summons a Storm Atronach, both for 30 seconds. And it deals between 15 and 60 points of physical damage. Fast jabs with a spear doing 15 damage each time is pretty effective, but we aren't going to be using it. With all 4 Daedric artifacts from the House of Troubles in hand, it's time to move on to something different. One of the good Daedra's artifacts. Vardenfell's resident Mephala worshippers, the Morag Tong, are hidden somewhere in Vivec City. Part of the initiation process to join the Morag Tong is finding them. They're in the storage area of the Arena Canton. Joining the faction isn't required, however. Taros Dral asks us for help. There are sensitive matters to attend to. Mephala fed him information that must be acted upon. A member of the Morag Tong, Balin O'Marrel, has been freelancing, and this displeases Mephala. But because Balin is the brother of an important member of the Order, it would be difficult to accuse him of anything and get it to stick. Instead, Taros would have us poison the man. We sneak into O'Marrel's house in Balmora, careful not to let him detect us, otherwise we fail the quest. We drop the poisoned bittergreen petals into the soup that's conveniently cooking without anyone home, and return to Taros. With the deed done, we're told to approach the altar behind him. Mephala wishes to speak with us.
You have done well, mortal. There are some things that must be done to preserve the Order, and it will be amusing for me when this business comes to light. I look forward to it. Take this ring, mortal. Through the brightest day, it will carry you with speed and stealth.
The Prince of Murder thanks us with the Ring of Khajiit, a simple artifact that boosts our speed by 10 to 20 points for 30 seconds and provides invisibility for 30 seconds. Yegrim notes that the ring is only known as of Khajiit because it was a Khajiiti thief, Rajin, who made the ring famous. With this ring, he became the most successful burglar in all of Elswere's history, a cat burglar. But like most artifacts, it eventually disappeared, leaving him helpless among his enemies.
Does Nagrand have a Santa Claus? Yes. In fact.
Candy, candy, he makes so much. Uncle Sweetshare has a magic touch. So it's back to the workshop in the snow, with lovely lanterns all aglow. Hee hee, ha ho, hee hee hee, ha ha ho.
He's in Solstheim. This is his assistant. He's,
The other of the 3 good Daedra, whose artifact appears in Yegrim's book, is Boethiah's. But his shrine isn't in good shape. Northwest of Hlaoad, at the bottom of the ocean, rests a crumbling shrine to the Prince of Plots. It could be worse. Imagine the state it'd be in if it were made out of carbon fiber composites. Boethiah has a simple request. Fix his statue. Find a sculptor and build a new shrine, preferably above water. We grab a copy of Boethiah's Glory from Jobasha in Vivec and speak with Duma Grolag in Caldera's Gorak Manor. For a one-time payment of 2,000 gold and the book, he agrees to build the shrine at Cartag Point. It'll take some time though, so we're to meet him there in a few weeks. Only a handful of artifacts remain. Been a long trip, but we're nearly there. While Duma gets chiseling, we'll continue killing. Umbra is an orc outside Saran, wielding a sword of the same name. Unfortunately, there's a secondary mod that buffs Umbra specifically, so the more deadly Morrowind Denizens mod doesn't affect him. I didn't know this at the time, so I was a bit disappointed after the fight.
That was underwhelming.
This sword was enchanted by the ancient witch Nainra Ware for the purpose of trapping souls. Before her execution, Nainra secreted the sword away, allowing it to wander Tamriel in search of a new wielder. It comes with a 2-minute soul trap effect on it, but it's not on strike, it's on cast. Not something I would have assumed, especially since its later incarnation is on strike, although that's because Oblivion doesn't have on-cast enchantments. The Ring of Surroundings is unique among the artifacts. It just doesn't feel like an artifact. Getting it is so mundane. Larius Varo in Fort Buckmoth is sick of members of the Morag Tong getting caught and then paying off judges to get away with their crimes. Rather than repeating this cycle, he would like us to put a permanent end to it. Not much is known about this ring. It grants the wearer 20 to 30% chameleon for 30 seconds. No pomp and circumstance at all. During the Imperial Legion questline, you're given a quest to retrieve both Chrysamere and the Lord's Mail. The former, we already picked up from some wizard in a cave, but the latter is a little closer to home. Home for the Imperial Legion, at least. Under the water, on the northernmost edge of the Ebonheart Isles, is an underground cave. And in that underground cave is this furious fella. He's got the Lord's Mail.
Another tourist.
Oh wow, this guy's strong. This guy's strong. I'm gonna have to use 20% of my power.
The Lord's Mail is sometimes referred to as the Armor of Morhaus, or the Gift of Kinnereth. Yegrim writes that it grants the wearer the power to resist spells, cure oneself of poison, and absorb health. The last part might be a bit of embellishment on the dwarf's part. The next artifact on our list requires us to become a vampire, so let's check on Boethia's new shrine before we get all mixed up in that. Still a work in progress, but we could pass the next couple weeks nearby in no time. I'm sure the sculptor won't mind us staring at him from afar.
Oh no! I thought that was an enemy. That didn't happen. Don't worry. Kim. Look away. See? He's fine. He's just a little diseased, but he's fine. Oh, it's 2. See? They're both fine. Oh, it's 3. A few more and I could have mine. We're gonna be rich. Oh, it's 4. Yay. Crew.
You can wait as long as you want, but if you don't change cells, the shrine will never be finished. Once we do load into the world after 3 weeks, the statue is built, and Boethia rewards us with Goldbrand, a powerful longblade that deals 10 to 30 points of fire damage on strike. Legends say the sword was forged by ancient dragons of the north. But then why would Boethia offer it as a reward to his servants? Perhaps the legend is true, and Boethia merely claimed the sword as his own, imbuing it with Daedric qualities, making it a Daedric artifact. Who can say? Spellbreaker is next, and we gotta be a vampire to get it. Since we're a melee character, we might as well become a Quora vampire. Their headquarters are in the Ashlands, within the Dwemer ruins of Drushkashti. Catching porphyric hemophilia is simple. Kill a vampire, then open and close its loot window until you contract the disease. This is why your mother always told you not to play with dead vampires. That's the disease, and that's the curse. To get Spellbreaker, we travel beyond the ghost fence and enter the Salval Ancestral Tomb. At the end of the tomb is an ebony-clad vampire named Mastrius. He's been cursed by Azura and needs the help of a fellow vampire. He's aggressive to non-vampires. He can't so much as move, but if we bring him the shield Spellbreaker and the Heart of a Daedra, he'll be able to lift the curse. The shield is in a somewhat nearby Dwemer ruin, Bethuand. It's northeast of this tomb, northeast of Red Mountain, and outside the ghost fence. Bagarn writes that although Spellbreaker is superficially a Dwemer tower shield, it is one of Tamriel's most ancient relics. It played a critical role in the Battle of Workin Shalador, when the Nordic mage Shalador single-handedly fought against the Dwemer legions of Clan Workin. The shield was constructed specifically to combat Shalador, both to silence spellcasters at a distance and reflect spells away from the wielder. In later games, it becomes an artifact of Periite, perhaps lending more credence to the idea that princes can just claim Tamrielic artifacts as their own. That's the penultimate artifact. There's one left. Recall that necklace we picked up back in Telfir? If we equip it, we get whisked away to Magus Volar, some pocket dimension of Oblivion that looks suspiciously like a Daedric ruin. Perhaps the Chimera modeled Daedric ruins after these pocket dimensions. Anyway, Lord Volar attacks us because we just broke into his house, but he can't do anything against our vampiric ring and a few swift bonks from Skullcrusher. By defeating him, we're kicked out of his realm, the amulet that brought us there disappears, and is replaced by the Daedric Crescent Blade. Blades like these were used by Mehrunes Dagon's forces in the capture of the Battlespire, Yegrim notes. Following the prince's defeat, the Empire destroyed every last blade they could find, but it seems they missed one. This longsword, it's a longsword, both paralyzes their victims and causes severe damage to their armor. A bit underwhelming considering how badass it looks. That's the last artifact in Yegrim Bagarn's Tamrielic lore. But as a capstone for this video, I want to show you something neat you could do with Goldbrand. You need to be a vampire for this, which is why I saved it until the end. Cyril Onwy in Vivec's Mages Guild finds our kind abhorrent. Vampires are vile creatures after all. She wants us to kill a man named Shashev and return with his key. Shashev is in Aldrun, but since we're a vampire, we can't use guild guides to get around. So we gotta run all the way there. Kill the elf, take his key, recall back to Cyril Onwy. But before you talk to her, make sure there's only 11,171 gold in your inventory, and you have Goldbrand with you. With these specific criteria met, a text box will appear saying, "Go to hell, Carolina," and Goldbrand will be transformed into Eltonbrand. This is all a reference to basketball or something? I don't know. There's more about this on UESP, if you care. The sword itself is really good. The same fire damage, but it restores 10 points of fatigue on strike, and grants 30 points of attack for 30 seconds. And you can swing it 100 times before it runs out of charge. Busted. That's all the artifacts in Yegrim's book. Way more work than I anticipated, but I'm glad I at least got the temple questline in a video for once. What about the artifacts in Mournhold? Well, they're not in Yagi's book, so they don't count. Maybe the Museum of Artifacts in Mournhold could be its own video.
Thanks again to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. You can get 10% off your next order by using the link in the description or in the pinned comment, or using promo code JBN.